Well, hello there, Stacey Murphy here with a video about 3 things that you can do to help get the kids in your world excited about vegetables and herbs and the great outdoors. Now, what I already know about you because you're here is that you understand that fresh, organic food is one of the best ways to be healthy, to live a lifestyle that feels great, that makes you feel nourished. It helps keep chronic diseases away. You can stay away from the doctors. And just being outside is something that feels so great. So I know that about you. And the other thing I know about you is that you get that these are habits. This is a lifestyle. And the earlier you teach this to people, the more life they have to enjoy it, and likely the longer they are to live. So this is really imperative to pass these lessons on to the next generation. And so for the next generation in your world, the kids that are around you, I wanted to share these 3 tips that I learned from my parents, but that basically has provided this great space in my heart for vegetables and herbs and the great outdoors. And I wish that for all future generations as well. So the first thing that I learned from my parents was, the garden was this magical place. We would go outside and we would just sit in the garden. My mom would probably do a lot more work than I would in a day, but I would go outside and I would sit there and the peas were right there. And guess how kids learn about the world? They reach out, they pull things, and they put them in their mouth. That means if you put a child in a garden, they're going to learn about vegetables and herbs by tasting them. It's just going to be natural. And all you have to do is point to them and say, try that one. What about that one? What do you think about that one? And they're going to keep trying to put things in their mouth. They're going to even put soil in their mouth. And granted, if you have all organic soil, there's probably nothing wrong with that either. I just said that. Just having the garden is a way for young kids to start trying vegetables and herbs, and they start to get to know the vegetables and herbs. They get to know what they look like, so that when it shows up on their plate, it doesn't look like a foreign object, and it looks like something exciting for them to try. So that's the first thing I learned from my mom and my dad was like, we just spent time outdoors, and I wanted to try everything. So that's number 1. You're probably already doing that. So bring the kids into the garden, plant things that you think might be interesting for them. And I'll tell you, kids, here's what they love. Sorrel. Now, sorrel is a leafy green. I actually have some. So I actually have some back here. So sorrel. This one is a regular one. I also have a red veined sorrel. Now, these are amazing because they're lemony. Kids love lemony things. So lemony things for kids. Peas, cherry tomatoes, things that are their size. If you have little tiny things that are their size, little tiny peppers, there are little tiny sweet peppers that you can grow. Anything that's like kid size, they're going to love it. Grow little baby zucchinis for them, those little patty pan zucchinis for them to try. And then just these leaves, once they taste that something that looks like this can taste kind of sour, they're like, oh, what do the other ones taste like? So just by having the garden is a way for them to start to experience the flavors of vegetables and herbs. So that's number 1. You're probably already doing it. Just amp it up. Just bring them out there and just spend the day outdoors with them. Don't make it about the work in the garden. Just make it about enjoying the garden. So that's number 1. And the second thing that I think my parents did a really good job of is they never assumed that my sister and I would not like the vegetables and herbs. So dinner was just dinner. The vegetables and herbs were there on the plate along with everything else. It was presented to us as dinner. And there wasn't any kind of sales like enrollment to try to get us to like the vegetables. There was no assumption that we wouldn't. So what I mean by that is, I never had a finger in my face that said like, you better eat your vegetables or else you're not going to grow up big and strong. There's a negative language there that assumes something, right? And the interesting thing about kids is they're pretty smart, right? What do they pick up on? They actually pick up on the underlying assumption that says that these things, maybe they aren't so good, and I've got to tell you they are good. So really in our world, the vegetables, we were just surrounded by vegetables all the time. Every dinner plate, every lunch plate, even breakfast sometimes had vegetables and fruits and herbs. And so it was just a part of our world that was celebrated, and there was never any, you should eat this. It was like, here you go, enjoy. That's all. Here you go, enjoy it, and see what happens after that. So that's the second thing that I think my parents did really well is I don't think they made assumptions that we wouldn't like things. And guess what? as a result, we tried so many things. We love things. And my mom tells stories that my sister and I used to sit around and be like, Mom, can we have the little baby cabbages? And what we were talking about was Brussels sprouts. We were begging for Brussels sprouts. So, you know, those are something that we liked because they were kid-sized. So this, you know, just celebrating whatever it is that you share with your kids. Here you go, enjoy. That's a good way to make the assumption that they will like it. Maybe not today, maybe after a couple tastes. It takes a couple tries sometimes to even decide whether or not you like something, and that's okay. So, you know, let your kids try things multiple times before they say, you know, I don't like it or I do like it. Have them try it multiple times because you just never know. And then the third thing that I think my parents did a really good job of when we were kids is they used to bring home these amazing books that had all these photos of all these different plants and animals, and we used to read them and flip through them, and we couldn't get enough of these books. So in my world, I just remember being completely surrounded by the magic of nature. And so that's one of the reasons why I wrote books specifically to get kids excited about vegetables and herbs. So these are two of them. They're a series called My Dinosaur series, and the first one was called My Dinosaur Ate My Broccoli, but I don't have a copy of it in hand because I just gave it away to a kid on an airplane the other day. There was somebody's kid who was, you know, just a lot of energy and was about the age of 6 to 8, which is on my book, and I had a copy of it, and I was like, here, take it, read it on the plane, do whatever you want with it, and just to help that parent, you know, with all the energy that that kid had, and it needed something new. So I don't have a copy of that one, but I do have My Dinosaur Sat on My Shiitake, which is the second book in the series, and My Dinosaur Farted in My Greenhouse. And the reason why I made these books was because I felt like there were books out there that were about this subtle kind of assumption that kids wouldn't like vegetables and that we had to convince them that they were good. My books went a different route. I kind of said, what do kids like? And I decided that I wanted to write a book series about dinosaurs, and Brontosaurus is a kind of dinosaur that eats vegetables and herbs. So I decided that the book was going to be about Bronte, the Brontosaurus, and all the adventures that Naya and Bronte had about vegetables and herbs. So a little behind the scenes stories about these books. They are beautifully illustrated, each page by Eileen Schaefer. And every page is dedicated to an herb or a vegetable. And while the book does talk about the benefits of those herbs and vegetables, it's not like a you should eat this because it will do this. It's more like, so Bronte in this book is a medicine dinosaur and basically is going around and helping all of his friends feel better. And so he's basically spreading the plant love throughout the forest. It's pretty special. So for example, this page here, it's dedicated to Tulsi Basil, and you can see this young dinosaur here. It's got a little backpack on. It's getting ready to go to school and it's nervous. It says, I'm so scared about going to a new school. I don't know anybody there. And what if the teacher is mean? So these are all things that kids can relate to. And hopefully kids can start to relate the idea that these plants are some medicine that they can use to help them in their daily activities. So really my hope is that we looked at you know, the viewpoint of kids and what they might relate to most, and giving them opportunities to connect with plants and to celebrate the plants and look at these amazing drawings. Who couldn't fall in love with these amazing drawings? So anyway, the story behind these books is that I really remembered my childhood and all the books that I loved, and I wanted more kids to be excited about vegetables and herbs. So that's why I wrote the books. And I would recommend finding books for your children that really celebrate vegetables and herbs so that when you come to the dinner table, there's not a first discussion about vegetables and herbs at the dinner table. You've already been discussing it with them in the garden, and then also through books. And then by the time it shows up on their plate, they're kind of excited to eat it because they know how it fits into life, right? So there you go, 3 ways to get the kids in your world excited about vegetables and herbs and the great outdoors. I learned this all from my parents, from basically my childhood and how I was raised, and how the love in my heart is so huge for vegetables and herbs. So I know it's possible. And if you want to check out these books on Amazon, My Dinosaur Sat on My Shiitake, My Dinosaur Farted in My Greenhouse, and the third one I don't have in hand here is My Dinosaur Ate My Broccoli. They're all available on Amazon. And finally, I'd love to hear from you. So in the comments below, please post what led to you loving vegetables and herbs in the great outdoors, and how might you apply that to the kids that are in your world. All right, take care, you guys. Love you.